Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing this amazing Thursday? I know I'm on here a little bit late tonight. Welcome to another live of WST Foundation and Wellness. How is everyone doing? I'm going to go ahead and share the live. Tonight I'm on here a bit late. عوضة وقت دنباك كجرا ماشان, which is fine. You know, I came from a meeting and I will tell you guys all about it. Yeah? Update asku sameynayna oo yar. How is everyone doing tonight? Welcome all you guys. If you guys are joining me just now, kindly tap the screen. I'm going to go ahead and share the live. Invite your friends is a continuation of last night. And we're going to be talking about some things that are happening in our community, especially with our late sister. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Super, come up. I'm actually coming back from a meeting and I know I'm on here kind of late, and I'm also going to be promoting my dress, Gupta Fashion and Boutique. You guys, I haven't done a nice outlook dress for you guys, right? Ding. Ding. Right? My Gupta Fashion and Boutique. But that's not what we're going to be discussing tonight. Actually, tonight I wanted to touch up on a little bit of what we discussed last night. And I also, okay, perfect, super. I'll give you a minute. And also, I wanted to touch up on housing because clearly I posted a video just to give people an update of what's going on when it comes to housing and, you know, the rise of, just everything that's happening. It's just been super crazy. And Canadian, yes, I'm Canadian. Welcome. Haddaan ugu cusub tahay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kusoo dhawaada. Anaka waxaana la dhahaa WST. Waxay u dhigmataa We Stand Together Foundation and Wellness. Meeshaan waa meeshii oo talada waa isku darsanaa, ra'yigeena waa isku darsanaa, sidii dadkeena oo maanta dhibaateysan, kuwii oo wadanka ku noolaayeen iyo kuwii maantay qurbaha ku dhibaateysnaayeen, arrimaha ku saabsanaa ka hadalnaa. Cawada hortoore leytaa soo galay dadka oo WST family iga raalahooda. Cawada meetinga aaday oo ku saabsan housingka oo TCHC la dhaho. And arrimahaasna waa rabay inaan nagala hadlo. Arrimaha xalay aan kasir ka hadalnane continuation inaan kasir haddana dadkii oo xalay naga soo qayb galin maadaama cawadana waa rabnay inaan usii sharaxno. Also, welcome. I speak English, I speak Somali, and I really speak on issues that are affecting majority of the Canadians when it comes to, you know, just the increase in rent, the lack of availability for housing, the lack of affordability, and the things that are just happening within our cities, the things that are taking place in the education system, in the justice system. We stand with our brothers and sisters when it comes to these issues, right? Many of you guys know what I am passionate about is activism, being active in my community. Yeah, it's very tough right now. I'm from Kenya. Nice to meet you, Black. Welcome. So I will tell you guys a little bit more about us. That's what we do. Usually I have a panelist. Let me see if my panelists, I didn't tell them I was coming on here tonight, but I will see if they're on, and maybe they can come up. Marka awada WST waxaasuu ka hadlaa dadka wuu taageernimadeena wadani inaa ahaano, inaa walaalo ahaano, inaa istaageerno, inaa wax isku darsano, ma garateen, inaa fikirkeena isa siisano si sharaf iyo si wanaagsanbo. Marka that's what we talk about. Tap the screen for me. I'm just gonna wait for everybody to kind of join in. I made some I don't know if you guys also, and if you guys also look at the bio, if you click on the bio link for WST Foundation and Wellness, you're going to see our YouTube. Please go watch our previous live. So YouTube can subscribe kutapta, watch the previous live, and you guys are going to see all of the things that we talk about. We talk about we talk about disability, we talk about healthcare system, we talk about the educational system, we talk about the lack of affordability and just increasing the rent in our cities. We talk about, people losing their mortgages, their house being foreclosure. A lot of people asking me things like, oh, why do you live in this neighborhood? If it's so bad, why don't you just up and leave? And my question is, this neighborhood is not only bad for me. That's an individualistic thing. Marki waxyaalahaas laga hadlo waa individual. Anigu waxa ka hadlo individual mukusabsano. I talk about, and not just me, WST talks about, the things that are affecting our community and how we can overcome that. Did they find the girl in the back yet? Yes, they did. Gabadani ti ilahi unaxariisto hala ka hadalnay arintan. They did find her. Way Helen ilahi unaxariisto way dhimatay gacan oo maantay gacan qalad dishay ninkii hore ee kala tageen aad dilay gabadhii. Marka she's no shalay geerideedan loo soo sheegay. I came on live last night and we spoke about it with the panelists for a little bit. Ilahi unaxariisto ilahi hooyadeed samri iimaan ha ka siiyo. Wallahi wax aad iyo aad looga danqaday ahayd. And maantane, arrimaha aniti way nagu soo bateen, community-geena way ku soo bateen. And xalana wallahi waa wada hadalnay, fikir fiican oo fiicana isa siinay. And it was just so incredible. Just so incredible. Marka awadana waxaa rabnaa continuation yar inaa ku taabano. Marka it would be great. It would be great to discuss that. Hayim Hahesin, another sister is missing, subhanallah. Rosa, you were telling me that last night. I was in a meeting all day with housing. I kind of just wanted to, ina hata waxas ka hadlo. Is your face supposed to be on the missing poster, or is there another image behind you? I am the host. I don't see why my face can't be here. No need to be sarcastic, You should be happy I'm here with you, that I'm talking to you right now, that I'm engaging with you right now, And if you wanted to see the face, Allahu Rahmo, you could just ask me kindly, At the end of the day, qofka ka hadleno, situation kana at hand waxay ku saabsan tahay maanta qof walaasheena gacan oo ka qaldan dishay. Arrintan is something that takes place often. There's not that many lights shut on it. Gabdhaha Soomaalida markay gacan qalad ee disho iyo dad ka gardaran, and dowladda sharciga yaalo ma la fiiriyo, cadaalad daradana ma la fiiriyo. Badana waxaa la fiiriyaa and waxyaalo oo qofkaas characterkooda ku saabsan. Example aan ku siinayaa qof maantay oo gabar Soomaaliya hadii oo la dhaho waa la dilay xilliga ahayd laga bilaabay. What time was it? Let's say it was past 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Waxaa ku soo xiga maxaa banaanka xilligaas taagsiiyay intee qabatay. Marka those are attacking someone's character and their who they are as a person. Magaraten. But Assalamu alaikum, Amina. Welcome, you guys. Welcome, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Amina, waku salam. Today I went to a meeting. Sorry, you guys, a little bit late. I saw galay. Meshane waqti badan mukujirai. We had an amazing conversation. Hey, Mohammed, are you with us?
Iwaran abay, seta.
Hello.
How maqluya,
Assalamu
seta.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You guys want Islam WST family and wellness. How are you guys doing tonight?
How?
Please had that tap the screen. Yes, so I went to a meeting tonight. I can show you guys. But before I talk about the meeting, they waxaa rabay in our situation kan in here ka hadlo. Wiilana soo qabsanoy, but what could we say? Aan iska sugno inta arrimahan galin. You guys share the live, tap the screen. Share the live and tap the screen. Hello?
Hello, ha.
Walaalo ma joogtaa?
Awa jooga. Gabadha ma la
I
helay?
think khadka kaa xun. Ay. Kalanjo, welcome. Welcome. Do you want to come and chit chat for a second? I just came back from a meeting. I'm kind of on here a little bit late tonight. I just wanted to do a recap of what we did last night. And the people in Toronto, if you guys like the dress, holler at me. Kalanjo.
I like the
How's
dress.
it going,
the hair,
Mahant? Assalamu
the
alaikum wa
hair.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can you hear me? I like the dress, the hair, the everything, the lipstick, everything.
Why can't I hear anyone?
Sorry, can you not hear me?
I can't hear.
Your live is paused.
All day waa iska hadlooya wax maba maqlaay. How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam walal. I'm good. How are you?
Oh my God, the entire time I'm such a clown. I swear to God, sometimes I tell you. The entire time I'm like, hello. My phone is literally on silent, Kawarin. My whole volume is at 0. So much for my kids. How is it going this Thursday?
Alhamdulillah. This is actually my Friday, so I kind of have a long weekend.
Yay,
So,
that's beautiful.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Alhamdulillah.
So
Yeah.
I just, I wanted to touch on Arima Rabina Tap Tortora housing video I saw dige, right? Should I talk to you about housing or should we talk a little bit about this today? Because I have a few things that I can talk about, especially with housing. That's where I came back from today. I had a big meeting there. I had a lot of trolls, saying different commentary. You know how videos get. Well, why do you live in housing? Why don't you just move out?
Can I go watch the video while you talk to the audience?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to just stay on here?
Yeah, you can stay on here. We can talk about this. I'm not gonna be on here too long tonight, but I know I promised you guys that we were gonna be back on. And my team usually likes to go on for 10, and I kind of disappeared on them because I literally came back home so late. I was almost 9:30, and so when I had to deal with my kids, I went to a meeting that's regarding housing, and to be particular is TCHC, Canada, Hawaii, like what you guys would consider your government housing in America. I don't know if you guys have a corporation, but the corporation here is called TCHC. I posted a video about what was going on in the neighborhood, and so many, I think it got like 23 point something, and it was just like the comments in there and the trolls in there, it was just so redundant. Wallahi, it was disgusting to see how desensitized and robotic people are, like literally robotic. Marka, I had a follow-up. I was gonna change it and kind of talk about that, but I also wanted to touch on this because I think it's so important and prevalent. And siiba sida wanaagsan aan uga hadalnay walaasheena Sahro, ilaahay u naxariisto, hooyadeedna samir iyo iimaan ha ka siiyo cideeda dhan, ilaahayna jannatul firdaws ha ka waraabiyo. Maanta gacan qaladaa dishay. I really loved how we yes, Amina, no problem. And I just really loved how we were able to come up with so much solutions around how we can support each other as a community. Marka, I wanted to continue that conversation, where we left off last night. I know a lot of people that can win and request in more and more as so. So yeah, That's pretty much about my day. What's up with you?
MashaAllah. It sounds like you had a very productive day, a very, very good day, Bahayati, MashaAllah. You're always doing something for the community, and I love that about you, MashaAllah. You're such an inspiration baa tahay wallahi bilaa talah Allahumma barak ilaahay
Thank
knowledge-kaada
you.
iyo waxtarka aad dadkaada u taraysid ilaahay kuu siyaadiyo horta first of all.
I mean about, you
Yeah.
know, Khaladra is so crazy to me because wallahi, so many people troll me online for posting about my life and things I'm doing in my own community. You know what I mean? Like had the rice, I have to go to this topic. I'm gonna come back to this topic. I'm gonna wait for the viewers to go up a little bit. I'm gonna switch over. Well, before I switch over, wiilkan walaalkeena soo dhaweyneyna. I think WST uu ku cusub yahay. Black, welcome. Assalamu alaikum walaalo.
Is that me?
Yeah, that's you. Is
My
that
name
how?
is my name is Kareem.
Why does it say black man talking?
That's my handle, but my name's
Yeah, that's
Kareem.
all I see when I'm on here as a host. I just see handles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just let people tell me who they are.
I'm Kareem. What's your name?
My name is Gupta. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You're in Toronto?
I sure am. I talk about Toronto things. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm from Vancouver.
Nice. So we spoke about Vancouver a little while ago, you know. We really spoke about the drugs in Vancouver and how they had this new law where they were assisting children as young as 15 years old, 12 years old in doing, you know, cocaine a little bit safer. They were actually giving out the tools. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, the nostrils or whatever, the
Yeah.
safe whatever. It's a joke. We have an NDP government here, and it's like they're just ruining. I mean, the mayor's doing a good job, so I'm not gonna say where I work as, but I work in social work basically. So I
Okay.
work firsthand with people in drug addicted communities, mental health, all that stuff, and like I see the effects of drug use, right? And it's really destroying our community. But I say that to say that our mayor has been trying to clean up our main place. It's called East Hastings, and it's basically like a drug-filled, like Skid Row kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing a good job trying to clean that up, but at the same time, they're, trying to just kind of they're messing up in other ways, but at least they're trying to clean that up at least. But yeah, no, that was messed up. I heard they backtracked it or something,
hmm So like what do
which
you
is
think
good.
what do you think with that? Do you think it's gonna help to like eliminate the drug use or kind of like not have so many people dying, you know, due to like contaminated drugs and things of that nature? Do you think this is a helpful thing or do you think it's like promoting you know, young youth to be like more inquiring about this?
I think it's a bad thing. So first of all, my background is I'm a Christian, right? So that kind of shapes my worldview.
Yes.
But even from a secular perspective, like when I was young and growing up, like if I had access in high school to just save drugs to be able to do those things, I would have definitely jumped on it, right? And it would just make more addicts, and then it's just gonna destroy more lives, right? And the thing is, like it's about gateway drugs, right? So it depends what kind of safe supply. So here they have hydromorphone, which is like the safe supply, and it starts slowly, right? So once you do a lot of that, eventually you're gonna want to do harder stuff, right? Which is gonna lead you down to street drugs, and that's gonna destroy your life. There's no gray area when it comes to drugs. So it's a very slippery slope, and we shouldn't even be promoting or encouraging it in any way, right? Because if because if you take those straws, like, are you kidding me, dude? I could go to the store and buy a straw. Why do you need to give me a straw? All you're doing is just promoting the use of the whatever, right? So
Is
it's just ridiculous. So I mean,
I
it's just a liberal mindset.
I definitely agree with you, absolutely. What do you think about the 2 grams? I heard that you can have 2 grams of cocaine and you're not gonna be charged for it. Is that also something that you see happening in Vancouver?
I don't
Do
know
you
if I
see it?
see it happening. I mean, like, does somebody need to go to jail over 2 grams? No, but I don't have a huge problem with that because people are gonna do drugs, right? It's worse if you're selling it, right? So if you have like 10 or a bunch of them. then the only problem I have if it's a loophole for people selling it. But like, do I believe people should go to jail over 2 grams? No. I believe if you're selling it or if you're doing something sketchy, it's a problem. But that, I mean, I used to be an ex-drug addict too, right? So I've been through that life and I understand addiction and it's hard and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you're going through a tough time or going through addiction, it's not necessarily the best idea for you to go to jail just for something
Yeah.
like that. But I'm
I
I'm
was
I'm in
looking
between
at
on
it.
that.
I was looking at it from more like those people that go to rehab and spend a lot of money, and maybe you can like tell us like a little bit more. But like for me, I was thinking like imagine you spend all of this money going to rehab, and sometimes it's not easy. You go on a waiting list, depending on like even if you can afford it, right? And then you get clean, and now you're back on the street, like you're back to regular life, and now this is like so easily accessible to you, you know what I mean? And it's not a crime, right?
Hmm.
What do you think it does to someone in that case?
It's definitely tough and triggering, but that's not an excuse, right? The thing about being clean is you have to want to be clean. So you'll always see stuff, right? Yeah, like I don't watch movies, I'm not secular at all, but like let's say you're watching a movie and you're watching like a Tony Montana, whatever, you're watching Scarface, there's always going to be those little triggering events that are going to want to get you back in that lifestyle, right? So it's about strength, it's about commitment, it's about meetings and support systems, and that's what's really going to be important. So, I mean, I don't think that's a very good basis. If you're gonna fall back into drugs, you're gonna fall back into drugs. It doesn't matter whatever the trigger is, right? So I don't think it plays too big of a role in terms of triggers, but it definitely doesn't help, right? And if there's a difference between it being decriminalized and it being readily accessible, right? So if it's readily accessible, that's different because you don't have to go through the hassle of going through a criminal to get your stuff. You can just make it convenient. So if it's selling convenience, then yeah, definitely that would be a big problem, would be a trigger. But in terms of just it being decriminalized and just seeing an ad for straws, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal.
Okay, wonderful. That's amazing because I'm completely like in agreement with pretty much everything you said. That's something that we covered. And I also like all of our WST. WST just means like we stand together, Foundation of Wellness. This is a platform where my panelists are not on here, but we have regular panelists that are really for this movement. And we just pretty much like talk on topics that are affecting our communities. And we just educate people around issues that are happening here in the Western world, and more particularly here in Canada, whether it be in America, whether it be, in Europe. We have people that come up that are, qualified, experienced, and they really share with us whether they're, into nursing or like yourself, social work. My background is in social work, and I also majored in sociology, honors in sociology. I actually graduated during the pandemic, and what it means to be a mom and having to really deal with like the high rise of rent increase and just the lack of affordability and housing. Whether it comes to the educational system, the things that we're experiencing in that, and just being from communities of like the minority and marginalized and racialized communities, soul support parents, whether it be newcomers, immigrants, refugees. So those are a little bit about the subjects and topics that we discuss here in WST. And last night, it's just so unfortunate. We have a sister that's right behind me. God rest her soul. It was devastating for us because right now we're experiencing a lot of young Somali sisters passing away. And within our community, we're not seeing that like that eagerness to really get involved and seek justice. Some of these, I don't know if you're aware of the case of Hodan Hashi and what happened with that.
No, so this is in Toronto, you're saying?
Yeah, well, that
So what's the
happened.
cause of what's going on down there?
Well, that happened with a girl, Beige something. Like it went very viral. It was a video in a Cactus Club in Regina, Saskatchewan, where this young Somali sister was butchered. Like she literally got it on video. It was circulating everywhere, and she attacked her. There was a fight. I think she took a bottle. She broke the bottle over her head, and then it impacted her, and she was bleeding, and she bled out, and everybody was just there watching, recording, and nobody even called for help or like broke up the fight. You know what I mean? And
At a
after
Cactus
that,
Club?
yeah, in Cactus Club. And then after that, the person that killed her was set free because she was a Caucasian girl. And, first they charged her with like second degree murder, and then they downgraded it to manslaughter. And she received bail for $5,000. And then within 5 months, the whole case was dismissed.
That's
So
disgusting, really.
yeah, so we have this gender war thing. I don't know if you're familiar with, well, obviously, like you see social media and the things that are going on, especially within like the Black community when it comes to like our gender. There's just this gender war going on, and I feel like everybody's caught up on that, and they're not really understanding the impacts that we're seeing when it comes to drugs, the impacts that we're seeing in the school systems, and just the increasing injustices happening with like sisters like Hora and Hashi and Zara and so many other sisters. We listed like last night, I think over 10 sisters that I personally like I knew, and a couple of my guest speakers here that are regular panelists who also live in Toronto knew, and were neighbors with, and how none of these cases really get attention from the media. And we were kind of wondering, like, why was that? And I think a lot of it has to do with our community being so divided and just desensitized and just robotic. Those are the words I use, because I don't think people, and especially with the impact of COVID, I think people just kind of sunk into this place where, they just have their hands up, and this is really affecting us. You know what I mean? She got killed by her ex-husband, who was also a Caucasian man. Domestic violence was something that was a case for them. She's tried to get away from him many times. And she was first missing. She called her mom, said she was coming from work. And when her mom, didn't see her, she got worried because it wasn't like, her nature to do that. And that was May 26th. And yesterday she was pronounced dead. And the killer was her ex-husband, who was trying to escape to somewhere in America when he was found and detained and charged with first-degree murder.
Wow. Yeah. So first of all, it's funny that you say the gender war stuff because that's primarily what my page is focused on. So like you mentioned it, but it's such a polarizing topic because it's literally changing the fabric of our society. And in my personal opinion, it's one of the biggest issues in our society because it's destroying logic and right and wrong. And it's just getting out of control. So I live in Vancouver, and what really did it for me, like I just live in my own little world, I do my own thing, right? And then literally there was a protest, and then like there's so many violent activists, and there was an incident in Vancouver, and it's just kind of getting to the point where it's like it just can't be ignored anymore, right? So I make content challenging the logic behind it, like through facts and satire, and I'm personally just kind of disgusted by the whole thing, and that's what I do. But yeah, to speak on your on what you said there. So, is there like an issue with violent crime in Toronto? Because I don't know too much about Toronto, but I know there's like a bunch of rappers there, and like there's a
Do you know anything
violence
about
and
the Somali community in particular? Like, have you ever, what things do you hear about them? Like, this should
not
be,
Somali, but I know there's a lot of Jamaicans. I know there's a lot of violence. Is that intertwined with the Somali community, or is that mainly like the Black Jamaican crowd? Or because what you mentioned with this one was more like a domestic thing, right?
well, with this one, it was more of a domestic thing.
Yeah.
And I also think what's happening is like in the past, right? So we're talking about like in the past, maybe in 2009, I would say. I don't know if you're familiar with Edmonton, Alberta. The oil sites, and a lot of people kind of finding themselves there. You know what I mean? Especially young people looking for different opportunities. So
Mm-hmm.
we had over like 30 cases, I think. I don't remember correctly, but I think even we can go as far as saying like about 52 unresolved cases from 2008 to 2009, right? And pretty much all of those cases were not resolved. Majority of those cases were young brothers, mainly between the ages of, like I would go 19, 18, 20, under 30, you know what I mean? Majority of them were under 30, and it was due to gun violence. And a lot of it has been kind of like put off to, oh, gun violence and drugs, and, oh, what do you expect? They're killing themselves, and, they're gang members. And like, these things are not even for certain, because how would we know if these things are not being properly investigated? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it brings up the issue. Yeah, so I'll let the sister connect. Salaam alaikum, Zahra. Welcome to the live.
عليكم السلام عديسة تاي
يعني الحمد لله.
حالا أنا أرضى يا أكوارك عوضا أنا سيسي حنا يا أكوارك محاها سوال جوايا
Barihan waliwai, right? I know I was so mashghul. I was busy with like just things that are happening here with TCHC. That's where I came from tonight. That's why I came on a little bit late. I'm sorry, guys. I was out at that meeting, there was a fire Kuala Sa'ata, right? The fire that happened.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قطران وأنا سوق قارع أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
I've been dealing with a lot, wallahi, from the SWAT team kicking down my doors. That was like end of January 27th, and I had to deal with all of that. And then Children Aid, unbelievable, and then right after that, it was a big fire in the neighborhood. And then I've been, writing and advocating and petitioning and, talking to higher management and CEOs and just like coordinators, tenant coordinators. And finally tonight I had a meeting. So I'm super excited about that. That's why I was running late. And I'm going to update you guys on that. But then also last night, one of the sisters that I work with closely, we received a call about this sister at first when she went missing. Remember when she went missing on May 26th? Yeah, her mom is on TikTok. She's also on Facebook. She's an educator. Big up to her mom. God, give her sabr and iman for her loss. She's a strong woman. Her mom is an educator. She educates people on dementia. She's also looking after her mother who is suffering with dementia. This sister is a beautiful 36-year-old sister, very well educated. I heard she was in her master's program for something. And it just saddens me today that we have to lose so many young, bright souls, you know what I mean? And this thing is happening and happening. And our community, it's really, being stereotyped, and, we're just, it's just the biases and the ideology, like the ideas around what it means to be East African. It's just very bad, you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's what we wanted to talk about tonight. We did really good last night. We came up with so many solutions of how to resolve the problem. But like the brother was saying, he asked me and I wanted to explain to him. So in those cases, none of it was resolved, and a lot of these mothers are just really traumatized over everything. And being people that had to migrate and had to deal with civil war and coming to this country looking for safety and looking to be part of the Canadian or American society, like to be actual functioning, contributing citizens, and then to have your children, especially your sons or whether it be your daughters, dying in horrendous ways and then not receiving justice for it. And not even having the resources to go to therapy and, counseling and grieving. So these are the things that we are seeing impacting our community, and gender wars are not going to really help us. And, this whole divide and conquer is not going to help us. So we need more like-minded people. We need to be able to pull together and really, just kind of look at this from a critical point of stance. You know what I mean?
So what do you think some solutions could be, or what do you think the pressing problems are, and what solutions would you advise?
Yeah, some of the solutions that we came up with were like, in this particular sister's case or in Horan, or do you want to in just in general? In this particular situation, we came up with so many things. We said that for one, anybody that could, you know, to be able to stand with someone, you know what I mean, to show people that we are a community, we are not divided in this, we are seeking justice. So the first way to do that is, I told everyone, if you're able to make it out to Windsor, because they're doing an autopsy on her right now, but whenever the funeral gets posted, people living in Ottawa and Toronto, if they could drive over there, that was one thing that we said. We also said that it would be nice if the family can have like somebody, a community representative, along with a lawyer, but not any type of lawyer. We need to have like top 5, you know, meaning the best lawyer, criminal defense lawyer ever. We need to be able to generate money for the GoFund, and usually people do that within the first couple of days or up until the funeral. But you need money for a defense team, and you need money for the funeral. So many ways that we kind of, as WST, the ways that we push for that is we speak about why it's important to, you know, support small businesses within our communities, so that the money is able to come back into our communities and we're able to have things in place that could really aid us and help us in fighting for justice. So in many ways, when you come from a demographic group of people, you know, you're put into this like box. They look at you as like your socioeconomic status, whether you're a high income earner, whether you're a low income earner, and the ways that lawyers and deal with you, that affects you. Also, we don't have too many people in the media, so we need to start making friends in the media with journalists so that they can come into our neighborhoods, come and interview us, come meet these mothers, and really just see that they're a product of their environment. They're no different than you and I. Like, we're all so much more similar. Another thing that we said is like having, you know, organized, whether it's carpool, making sure like, you know, we can organize ourselves in that way. We said we need posters, you know, things, merchandise, like we need to really come out there. Those were a few things. Kalanjo can also add in if I missed anything that we discussed last night. But those were like a few of the solutions. But then the bigger solutions were to ask for more status, like statistics and status and analytics. They paved the way in the way that the law and the protocols, when it comes to protocols and procedures, like the ways that they're evaluated. So if we're able to like ask for our own demographics, so let's say the East African Somali community, like how many of them have been brutalized by or harassed by police, you know what I mean? How many of those were not implicated cases or innocent civilians? When we look at the amount of force and aggression that are used in these cases, is it necessary, you know? So reaching out, I know a couple of people that are already doing that within the universities here in Canada, so they're working on that. And when you have that in hand, then you can have a seat in the table and have a conversation about that, right? Because now it's numbers. So we also are pushing for that, because like you said, we can, if we're dying at a higher rate and we're experiencing crime in our community at a higher rate than any other, you know, ethnically diverse community, like you spoke about the Jamaican community, I think this was a issue for them back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, but it has since died down, right? And now I find it more so within the newcomers and, you know, the newer communities that have been here maybe the last 30, 40 years that are still struggling through this. And yeah, so we spoke about that, and also just more awareness, because a lot of these, you know, contents and ads and things that we come across in social media, it's a lot of like, you know, things that are not really binding us together and making us conjoin and to move collectively for our own beneficial gain, you know what I mean? The things that all benefit us for the better. So we said, you know what, we need to be able to come on and have more people on Facebook, on TikTok, on IG, really pushing that agenda of aligning us, right? I think that's I don't know if I missed anything, but those were a few key things that we came up with. You guys tap the screen, share the live. Is WST, is your host Gupta Queen. Here with my family, WST fam, you already know. Yes, so yeah, anybody hop in, ask away, fire away.
So are you guys Islamic?
Yes, we're Muslim. I'm Muslim, alhamdulillah, you know. Majority of Somalis are Muslims. Yeah.
Okay, and when did you guys come to Canada?
Well, majority of us like came in the 90s, really, like after the Civil War. Yeah.
What was the Civil War? Like, what was the story there?
The story there has to do with
asaga
tribalism.
maxaa waaye weydii su-aasha baa su-aasha idinku weydii asagana weydiino
Oh, Wakaranena, he already told us he's Christian. He's from Vancouver. He's a social worker. Yeah, he already spoke to us about all of that.
Where is
That's
he
what I
from?
don't like about TikTok. You know how people just like it's like it doesn't have that repeat button. Yeah, we no share. Wakof accent, you know what I mean? We need to be able to get our stories out there. Like if you're a social worker, that's what I'm saying. We need to be able to
Where
really.
is he from though?
He's from Vancouver.
No,
He's
his background.
Kenya.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kenya. He
Kenyan,
told
okay.
us too. I forgot about that earlier. You wrote that down in the
Yeah,
comments.
I was born there. I came here when I was 8 years old in 2001, I believe. Yeah, 2001.
Yeah.
Your ethnicity is Kenyan or?
Kenya, yeah, I was born in Nairobi, so I think we're neighbors. You guys are just on top of us.
Yeah.
Oh, for a second I thought you were Somalian. Sorry.
Me too.
Yeah, I got a Muslim name, so I get that a lot. Not Somalian, but people think I'm Muslim.
Yeah. I was in Nairobi for like 6 months. You know, I was in Kenya for like 6 months. It's a nice place. A lot of
Yeah,
Somalis there as well. Yeah. We call them Somali Kenyans. You know what I mean?
nice.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about us. Do you have any suggestions for us? Like, what do you think it's going to take to resolve some of these issues? As you're a social worker, clearly, you deal with this firsthand, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of big thing is influence and just like a sense of morality, because there's a lot of sense of morality lost today, right? So in terms of influence, role models, that kind of thing. So I don't know how much it is in your community, but a lot of this influences people have today, and just, like if I was talking about the Jamaicans, like they all listen to rap and a lot of violence and stuff. So I think a lot of influence on like community programs, incentivizing people to be active, choose hobbies, find out what they're interested in, and just I think a lot of social and community programs, right, to kind of steer them in certain directions. Because when you don't have anything to aspire to, anything to do, they say an idle mind is a devil's playground, right? So if you're not doing anything with yourself, you're just gonna get into trouble, right? So that could lead to problems, but that would be my biggest. Do you guys just focus mainly on your community or just like the youth in general, or what's the main target
Well,
audience?
when I first started WST Foundation and Wellness,
What does that stand for, by the way?
We Stand Together Foundation and Wellness.
Okay, gotcha.
So, because we have to rebuild our foundation when something is not working and it's not concrete, you have to start over and you have to build a stronger foundation. And when we speak about wellness, coming from the backgrounds that we do come from, we need to be able to really come together and heal from our indifferences and our traumas, right? So, that's when you can grow. That's when you can, like the things that you spoke about, that's when morality comes in. That's when influence comes in, a healthy influence. You know what I mean? Because other forms of influences through the drugs and through the music and through just like, even like the body images that are put out there of what we think is attractive or the standard woman, it's just mind-boggling, you understand? And it causes further division. So for us, I started WST for not just my community, you know what I mean? I started it for all the people that are minorities, that are marginalized, that are racialized, you know, ethnically diverse communities. I started it for the young mothers, the young sisters, the young brothers that are really trying to not be a statistic, that are really, you know, pioneers in what they do in their community. And with me doing all of the things that I do, I was still subjected to police harassment and brutality. In the case of the SWAT, right? I educate people around SWAT, how SWAT police officers and law enforcement is different from that of community police, right? And, you know, these guys are desensitized, meaning that they deal with guns, they deal with drugs, they deal with high cases of violence. You know, I use the example of like men like El Chapo. That's who they see on a daily basis. And when they come into neighborhoods and communities, they're not necessarily understanding the infrastructure. They're not really understanding the people that live in that community. They don't have personal, like, you know, they're not aware of them and their position and what it is that they do, or if they're even, you know, and a good example. So what I rally for, and when I go to police reform programs, I tell my story. And what I rally for is that, you know, the procedures and the protocols have to be revised, and that community police be involved, right? So if you have a mother and you have small children and this woman has no idea, you know, what's going on, meaning like there's nothing on the media saying that an individual is wanted by the police, there's no arrest warrant for this individual, they don't have a criminal history, you know them to work, right? And now you're coming into somebody's house under the impression that this person is here, and that might not even be the case sometimes. And, you know, you end up doing further damage by subjecting them to like breaking down the doors, and you have 3-year-olds or 6-year-olds, or you have grandparents, you know, confined to a wheelchair, like this person can't move, you might knock them over. You know, the force of aggression and the hostility that police officers in SWAT usually present is very devastating. And I ask that the community police be involved, because they can do something called risk assessment. They can do something called threat assessment. And when they do these things, they're able to remove the child and the mother and whoever is not implicated safely, rather than, you know, being caught in the crossfire or them being like collateral damage. So, and that came from just my experience with the police, you know, and, you know, these people, where's the crisis prevention for them? Like, Assalamu alaikum, Khali. Where's the crisis prevention for these people? If the police, if the criminal, they have their day at court, you know what I mean, and the accused, she's gonna have everybody like you and I and everybody stand with the accused, but then who really deals like with the child, with the grandparent? You know, they're traumatized 4 or 5 hours searching dogs, and you know, sometimes these people, they sustain injury too, you know what I mean, from all that chaos, and they're left alone. Everybody just kind of walks away from them, and it's like, where do they pick up the pieces? There's not a social worker in sight. There's nobody in sight to, you know, tell them what just happened or give them a briefing. And this usually happens to people in marginalized and minority communities because they look at their socioeconomic status. They look at the neighborhood that you live in, right? There's no guidelines to protecting these neighborhoods. So when a person like me lives in a neighborhood like this, they're just going to say marginalized, minority, government housing, we have the right to go in there, as opposed to if I lived in a neighborhood that was a little bit more privileged or protected. Even as a Black woman, depending on where I live, they would associate that with my status, right? And my socioeconomic status. And that's what most of us find in these community housings. Does that like make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Would you mind sharing why SWAT kicked your door in?
Yeah, there's a video of like 1,067 point. It's very viral, I would say, at this point. I think a lot of like I think the police was really at my door because they were looking for my kid's father, but not knowing that, you know, he doesn't share residence with me, not knowing that, you know, we co-parent, and he just came into town that same day. So it's not like I was given a heads up of what was taking place. You know what I mean? They could have restrained him at, and this was from a different province. So this occurred in Edmonton, Alberta. And the things that he was being accused of at the time happened like about 5 months prior. So like in 2022. And, you know, how would I know these things, you know? How many mothers do you see where their sons go say, hey, mom, bye, I'm leaving. And, you know, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, or, hey, mom, can I come visit you? And the same day he visits, like the police is kicking in her door. You know, does she deserve to, you know, is she implicated? Does she know what's going on? Did anybody brief her? You know what I mean? I think the responses, SWAT police pick and choose in the way that they respond due to someone's like demographic, if that makes sense. And I think I was a product of that, you know what I mean? And I tell my stories, I say, you know, at the end of the day, like, this is the reason why gun violence is high as it is amongst the youth. Because when you come into communities like this and you have a 3-year-old and you're subjecting a 3-year-old to harassment, you know, the mom is the apple of their eyes. You're distressing their mom in front of them, assaulting them. These kids can in turn grow up with like a lot of hostility and aggression and not respecting authority, which then spills over back into the community. You know what I mean? They're not giving the proper resources or the proper measures, right? So too often police receive funding and will continue to receive funding in the backs of the vulnerable sector, which is the marginalized and minority communities. And they turn around knowing that guns are illegal in Canada, knowing that certain drugs are illegal in Canada, but they are flooded in our communities. Then they turn around and then they were going to blame a woman like me and say, oh, because so-and-so comes from a single household or government housing. And that's not the case. I have, you know, a diploma and a degree. I'm planning on doing my master's. I was very active in the community since I was 15 years old. I've worked with MPs and such things, and I'm trying to pave the way. And just like anybody else, I have my own struggles, but to be labeled and stereotyped and use a lot of microaggressions, it's not necessary. And that's pretty much what WST does. It advocates and it gives a voice to those women and children and men in the community. And we really have those like engagement with the police. And that's like what we're working on, changing and passing a new bill. I don't know how long it's going to take us to do so, but yeah.
What would that bill be?
It would be a bill that would require police to show up with community police, like the SWAT have to show up with community police. Like in my district right now, in the community I live in, is 22 division. So if SWAT is coming from, let's say, a different district, right? The SWAT that came to my home were in Halton. Halton is like maybe a good 45-minute drive from where I'm at. So, and they were carrying out a warrant. Where is this warrant from? Edmonton, Alberta, a different province. We need something in place where these children and women are protected from such traumatization and horrific acts of brutality and force and aggression is what we're asking for.
Yeah, wow, that makes sense. But you came out okay? Everything's all good?
Well, you know, at the time I felt like I died 100 deaths, to be quite frankly honest with you. And the reason being, it was because the images that I see of police are not that great, especially the images that I see on TV, people being gunned down. So a lot of that stuff is happening. So my initial reaction when the door broke down, my whole reaction is I just walked into my house. I, you know, live in a certain neighborhood and maybe they have the wrong door. You know what I mean? Like, and they didn't even say anything to me like, get down, get the F down, get the F down. So I'm thinking like, holy crap, like, do I move? And then my kids are like still in the dining area. So I'm like, I'm trying, my kids are screaming because they just heard, like, covering their ears, screaming. And I'm like, can I please get my kids? And they were like, don't effing move, get down, get down. And it was just like chaotic. And I was like, man, do I grab my phone? Do I record this? And they had their faces covered, you know what I mean? And I never recognized their uniform because their uniform is unfamiliar to me. You know, they're 45 minutes different district. They're not the police that I grew up around, like the community police. I have never seen encounters with SWAT, like. So my whole thing was, oh my goodness, they have the wrong door. Oh my God, they're gonna kill me. They're gonna shoot me. And my doorway is this big. So if somebody's gonna do a search in SWAT, I'm thinking they're gonna use my back door. I have a gigantic back door. There should be people in front of my back door. And why all these people trying to come in this little tiny door? What if they bump into each other? What if the guns go off? Like, so many things were running through my head, you know. And my kid, like, he's peeing himself. My children are distressed. They're only 6 and 3. Then they have that red silencer thing on your body. So I'm concentrating, like, oh, they have it on his heart. And it was a lot of that. And like them, when I wasn't given a search warrant right away, I had to fight. And then the man kept saying to me, after they detained the father, like, obviously they detained the father left the scene, no explanation whatsoever. And then I'm thinking, okay, great, everything is going to be back to normal. Now they have who they want, apparently. I'm going to be fine. No, I wasn't fine. That's when all the craziness started. And then I'm like, why are you harassing me? Like, am I under arrested? What did I do? And then it was like, no, but we need you to get out. I'm like, get out of my house. It's wintertime for what? I don't even, and mind you, I'm in a dress, like a tiny dress. So, and I'm wearing like see-through stockings, you know, those really thin see-through stockings. So they don't let us get a jacket. They don't let us get shoes for the kids. They tell me, I'm like, where's my warrant? Or like something. They're like, where's the paperwork? I need to see if you have the right unit. And they're like, you're making this more difficult than it needs to be. And just like really, like just being really rough with me. And then, you know, I grabbed my children. So I have like my daughter here and my son here, and I have 6 steps to get down from. And by
How old
the
are your
time,
kids?
there's 3 and 6. So by the time I
Oh
got
my
to,
gosh.
by the time I can't carry 2 kids, for the love of God, you know, I'm not that big. So I had to get down 6 flights of stairs to make it to the front. And there's like 10, 15 men in front of me, not letting me get to the front. And one of them probably felt like I was walking too slow. So he grabs my arm and he yanks me. So then now I'm trying to like, still, this is the crazy part about a mom. I'm still thinking about, let my kids fall on top of me. So like, let them fall on top of me rather than them hitting the floor. And then when my son fell on top of me, he like grabs him from the collar and then shoves him like out the door. So it was just so traumatic, you know. And then once I went to the hospital, they decided to drug me up. They just gave me all of this stuff because like I had bruises on my legs and stuff like that. They had dogs out here. It was just crazy. And then once I got there, they called the police. Like they said, you know, who did this to you? And then I said, the SWAT team did this to me. So the doctor calls the police. What is the police gonna do on the SWAT? You know what I mean? So him calling the police, and he's like, who did this? The police? And he's like, we're gonna call Children Aid. What in the world is Children Aid gonna do? You know, so Children Aid and the police, they're like this. They work for the government. They're not gonna help me do anything with them. So then my neighbor, thank God she was there. She really advocated on my behalf. You know what I mean? She was advocating on my behalf the entire time. So I was like in and out of consciousness. Like I was in like, ooh, like I don't know what they put in my blood system. And I remember when the police came to me, I was just like, I was gone. I just kept saying, like, I just kept shaking my head. They gave me a book. They tried to ask me a few questions. I just looked at my neighbor like I have no words for them, you know, like I'm in and out of reality. And after that, you know, Children Aid, I just told them, like, you have absolutely no reason to be in my life. I was not the one that was negligent to my children. It was the police that were negligent to my children. And there's really nothing you can do for me to, you know, getting justice in that, you know what I mean? But for safety reasons and measures, they asked me, did I know what happened? And I said, I guess I'm gonna have to I am just gonna have to tune in like the rest of the world. I have no idea what happened. I was told that I'm not, legally married, and therefore I have no information. And this case was wanted in another province, and it took about 7 days to take him back there. Back to Edmonton. So then everybody just had to kind of wait around for the news conference to come out. So I had to watch my life with the rest of the world, like on the news. And once the news came out and the conference came out, legal aid kind of closed my file and they just left, you know what I mean? But because I'm very well studied, I know the law, I've worked in law firms before, I knew what was necessary to get these people off my back. I knew my rights, you know what I mean? So yeah.
So so my problem with things like that on the SWAT team is the whole no knock warrant thing. So did they knock on your door or no?
No, they broke down the door. Like that's what made the noise so loud, and the kids were like freaking out because the entire door just like came off.
Yeah, so if you're working on a bill, I would try and incorporate that somehow because it's just like think about that. Like, you're a mother, you got kids, you have your own things to worry about, and you got to fix a door now. Like, are they gonna take care of the door?
Actually, I lost about 15 pounds for each day that I was under distress. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep because it took forever to get my door fixed and my window fixed. And I'm I'm a sole support parent. So I'm here with 2 small children, no help, no nothing. And I live in a certain neighborhood and now I don't have a door and a window. So I pretty much and I was too broken to even go anywhere. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to go to my family. I didn't want to go anywhere. You know what I mean? So just
That's
overcoming.
disgusting. I cannot believe that, man. Like, because what does that really accomplish, It's like maybe if you're resisting or something, and like, were you like on the ground floor or the top floor, or like where
I was
was it?
just right here in my living room. We live in a townhouse, so we have a back door right behind me, like you can't see it now. And then we have a front entrance, but our front entrance is like this tiny. Like me, my 2 kids can't even all go out at the same time. Like that's how small it is. And it's next to a basement door. So the 2 doors touch like this. And
Mm-hmm.
all I kept envisioning was like that door falling down on my child. I'm like, what if my child was down here? Like we just had pulled laundry out of the basement, you know what I mean? And it was still early on. Like you would expect, usually SWAT they conduct searches like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., like really late in the mornings. This was like me coming back from daycare. This was me feeding them supper. The sun was still out. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything I anticipated. My children were not sleeping. Kids run up and down. And it was just like the fact that they were able to compromise my safety and my child's safety, my children's safety, the way that they did, that was mind-boggling. And they know they are guilty as charged because they would refuse to give me the batch number. They were like, I'm like, can I get your business card? Can I get your batch number? Like, can I speak to your lieutenant? Nothing. I was trembling, I was shaking, I was cold. It was like a freezing cold winter day. They had the doors open, like all the entrances open, and it wasn't necessary, and that's really what gave me the voice to speak up and really come on social media. Before that, I was just like, I didn't have the personality to be here talking to people like the way I do now. You know what I mean? And I think it was just like through prayer, and just being connected to God. It was just like, it kept saying like, use your pain for your purpose. You're already studied, you have this knowledge, maybe this is the thing that's going to push you to share this. There's always 2 sides to the story. And when I go to these police reform programs, they're always just telling their side of the story. So it's time that we take initiative of our own narrative. It's time that we stop sitting in the passenger seat and really sit in the driver's seat and say, hey, this is not predominantly an issue that's just affecting minority communities. It's also affecting people that are really, doing great things within the community. Like you're hindering them from growing, you know what I mean? And you're damaging young children at 3 and 6 years old, and you're not giving them the proper resources to overcome these things, right? they're not providing aid. So in the cases of mental health, they were able, when all of those people died and we had all of those cases, you know, through protesting and rallying, what came about that was it became mandatory that they have nurses there, like they have social workers there and nurses in some cases, like by law. So the law can change. It just takes the right amount of people and just for us to really have that concrete statistics and be like, this is what's happening. And I think that's what it's gonna take. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I will say, like, the thing about with the Canadian, are they called SWAT or what are they called in Canada?
They're
Is
called
it
SWAT.
actually called SWAT?
Yeah, what do they call in Vancouver?
I don't know what they're called, but I've dealt with them a few times, right? So in my work, I've had certain situations, and my premise is like these guys are kind of bored and they're kind of trigger happy and they're kind of like craving for action, right?
Oh my
So,
God, that's exactly what went down. I didn't know what
yeah,
world I entered. I did not know. I have never seen police behave the way they did. Like it was all new to
yeah,
me, you know. I was so gullible and oblivious to any of this stuff. Like I'm used to regular police officers where you're just like regular, like, yeah, whatever, you come first back and like, oh, bro, leave me alone, you know? And no, these guys, like you said, they were trigger happy, like
yeah.
literally.
When I listen to your story, that's exactly what it sounds like. Because like I think a lot of things, right? So I think how long were they watching the house? Did they think someone was gonna run out the back? Why did they not wait until somebody left the house? And I'm just thinking a lot of things,
Didn't
right?
even
Why
come
did
to
they
the
kick that?
back. They didn't even go to the back. That's why I was confused. How is it 15, 10 of you guys, big Shaquille O'Neal, like guns bigger than my body? How is
Mm-hmm.
everybody trying to make it this tiny door? Like real policemen know the neighborhood. Real policemen know where the exits are. That's where they're gonna go. So whoever they're looking for doesn't run out. You know what I mean? That, like in my I'm a critical thinker. Like when I was seeing my door come down, the thoughts are going through my head. I know myself. I'm a prominent leader in my community. I rally with people. I'm act like this is what I do. Like I encounter injustices and I'm thinking, okay, they have the wrong door. Like why and did they buy this gear on Amazon? Like are these even real policemen? Like who just comes in this tiny door like this, you know? And am I gonna die? Like the whole time you see me looking crazy. Like when you go off, add me and we'll follow each other back. You can go watch the video. I don't look the way that I look today. And I came on TikTok to be like, this video is crazy. Okay, this is not me 24. My mom had to come down. They had my whole entire family outside, you know what I mean? They had my whole entire family outside and then my mom came in finally. I don't know how long they were out there harassing them. I didn't know anything. And the first thing my mom said was like, "Can you get her some clothes? Like, can you get the kids some clothes?" And so I actually had to put clothes on and that's when that video was taken, right? And it was just a small clip. There's many more clips that never made it out to obviously TikTok, but and that's mainly due to, you know, just court procedures and when, you know, alleged crimes, you can't say you can't talk about somebody because you have to say alleged, right? Otherwise they can sue the shit out of you. And just to have respect for the victim as well, in this case. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so I've dealt with them twice, right? So in the buildings I work at, there's like sketchy people, right? So first time I was working alone and I saw some guy with a firearm on camera, and I'm working alone, so I'm scared, right? So in my field, like there's been people that are being actually like, attacked with firearms and stuff. So I called them. And then it's just the response and the way they respond. Like there's like freaking 20 of them, right? There's one person with like potential fire. I don't know if it was real or fake, but I just got nervous. So I called them and they're coming in there and there's like, they have the whole, like you said, get it from Amazon. They have all their suits, all their gear, like shotguns, all this stuff. And they're like, I'm trying to let them in. They're pushing me out the way, like, get back there, sit down. I'm like, well, I'm trying to show you where to go. I'm trying to help you, right? And they're so aggressive and stuff, right? And then it turns out it was a fake whatever, right? It was fake. And then the second time I dealt with them,
What do you mean when
it
you
was
say
hilarious.
fake?
What's
Like
that?
when you say fake, who was fake? Like the actual police were fake?
No, the guy that had the firearm, it was a fake
Oh,
firearm.
oh, it's
So
a fake firearm. Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah. And then the second time I dealt with them, it's very funny. So I don't want to dox myself because for certain reasons, but basically there was a person with mental health issues in the building I work with, right? And he's a super nice like guy. He's like a white guy, and I don't know what he was thinking, but he literally went with a airsoft firearm, looks completely percent 100% real, walked in front of the building I worked at, and just stood on the street in the intersection with like he looked like a Halloween like a school you know what, right? One of those people that does the bad things at school with firearms. He
Yeah.
literally sat at the traffic light. I was sitting at my desk and I watched like a van drive up to the intersection, like squeal the brakes and just start reversing like crazy. This guy literally, I don't know what he was thinking, right? But he was standing with sunglasses on, a vest, and an airsoft rifle in the intersection, right? And then it took me a while to realize what was going on. And then the SWAT team came in my building and they're like, explain to us the situation. Like, do you know this person? I'm like, yeah, he lives here, right? And then they were going crazy, circling the building. So that's what I'm saying. Like, why did they kick in your door? Because here they circled the entire building. They covered different entry points. They're like very organized, right? And then once we realized what was going on, I'm like, okay, like this is getting out of control. Like something bad could really happen. I knew this guy. He was a very quiet guy. I don't know if he was looking for attention for some reason or whatever. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go up to him, I'm gonna talk to him, and then I'm gonna let him know. I don't know if it was oblivious to the fact that there was like police officers all around him. But I basically walked up to him and I'm like, hey bro, like what are you doing? What are you thinking? I told him like there's cops around. I'm like, okay, put that whatever down and let's go talk to the cops and let him know it's a misunderstanding, right? And then so he put the firearm down, and then we were walking behind to the back of the building because that's where they were stationed, right? And then it was very clear to them that people watching from all angles, it was very clear that the firearm was no longer on him and he had it down. And as soon as we turned to the corner to go where the police were, they literally flashbanged us. Like I was turning the corner and I looked at them and I saw a firearm pointing at me, and then I saw a white flash. And I literally thought I was dead. Like I thought like I was going up in the sky, right? And
Oh
I'm
my
like, dude,
God.
why are you
I
guys so
found this really
trigger happy? You literally have people eyes. You can see that he doesn't
your
have the firearm
eyes
on
are
him, and
tripping
then you're still
too.
flashbanging me. I'm walking right beside him. Like, why not just run and take him down, right? They literally flashbang grenade, and like I just started running. I got so scared, like my life flashed before my eyes. And then once I saw the gun point at me and I heard a noise, I just turned around and just started running, right? And there's
Yeah.
like news crews everywhere and all this stuff, and it's like, bro, like you guys are so trigger happy. Like you guys know what's going on. The firearm's not on him, and it's just great. Like hearing your story just reminds me of that because like they're so like trigger happy and it's like they're bored. In Canada, they probably don't get much action, much
Do you
calls, and like it's just kind of silly in a
traumatized?
sense.
How did you feel like the coming weeks after that? Like, how was were you like shaken up? Was your heart beating? Were you like having sleepless nights? Like, what did you feel after all of this ordeal? Like, did it impact your day-to-day life?
It had me just for that day, so it wouldn't be as crazy as yours because you're like it's in your house, your kids, your whatever, right? So mine, I was just like I saw the firearm pointed at me and I saw the white flash and like I literally thought I was dead because all I saw was a white flash, right? Like it was a stun grenade or flashbang or whatever. So it just made me realize how precious life is in a sense, right? So all I thought about was that, but it didn't impact me too much because I wasn't the center of the attention. I wasn't really the whatever, right? But it was a traumatic. I've already had a near death experience before that, so I think that kind of helped a little bit. But if I hadn't, maybe it would impact me a bit more. But it was just so unnecessary, and I'm like, dude, why you guys? Like I told you guys, I'm gonna go talk to him. You had people on watch, saw that he put the firearm down. We were walking the corner. You know that I'm with them. You know that, like, you didn't radio me like, hey, we're gonna hit him with the flashbang. Maybe just stand behind him a little bit, right? And it's just like, it was just so ridiculous. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with these guys, right? And they tackled him, put him to the ground. These guys didn't push me away, but it was just so crazy. I'm like, dude, you guys literally need to like, I don't know, man, not get a different job, but like just hopefully
Maybe
go to more
change.
day.
And that's what I say. Like, a lot of the times people feel like these police officers, like, they have the best of training, and they really don't. Like, they lack training, and
Yeah.
they lack, like, they cannot even differentiate
Thank you,
innocent
my guy player. Thank you.
bystander. Yeah,
Yeah.
innocent bystander. And thank you so much for like sharing your story. Like this is incredible because this is like two social workers talking about what they're passionate about. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like and it's crazy because you would think you would look at yourself like I'm a good person. Like I do things for my community. You know, I'm on your side of the law. Like I'm for you guys, right? And but what I came to realize is they really lack training and they lack interaction with actual civilians, day-to-day civilians like the mom and pops, like the children. They don't even have that connection. You know what I mean? They
Mm-hmm.
are used to just this one way tunnel of I gotta defend, I gotta protect my I'm in danger. There, how are you in danger? You're the one with all the guns. How are you
Yeah.
in any danger? Sir, look at me, look at you, look at my kids. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a form of power tripping. I also think it's a form of systemic racism. What do you think in that terms?
Systemic racism, so I can't really speak too much on it because in Vancouver, like there's not much of like there's an indigenous population and I know they kind of get a short end of the stick, but in terms of black systemic racism, I can't speak too much on it. So I wouldn't be able to speak honestly just
Yeah,
on that
I don't think
aspect.
we should divide systemic racism because I don't think we're any different from the indigenous community. You know what I mean? When we all experience the same things, when we're looked at as minorities and, you know, our gender, our class, our ethnicity, our, you know, social, you know, status is being used against us, does it really make you want to say like, oh, let's they're just experiencing this. Isn't it similar to the same things?
So I use these words very literally. So I think systemic racism, it has to apply to all people within the community. I don't think anecdotal experiences are sufficient enough. So if you, I think the indigenous community, like with the residential schools and stuff, like that's systemic. It doesn't matter who you are. There's a systemic process in which you are affected based on your race or the color of your skin, right? So I think when I think systemic, I think literal systems, right? So I have my firearms license, so I'm very well versed on like firearm rights and stuff. Like it's a big hobby of mine, and I do a lot
For
of
your
research.
license?
Huh?
Like, so you got your license. Doesn't that make you, as a black man, a little bit more scared? Especially like since the encounter you had, like you see how trigger happy they are. You see how they're like power tripping. Like me, when I thought about, I contemplated to even if I can go grab my cell phone, and I stopped myself because I'm like, if I even reach for anything, they're gonna put a bullet in me. And then there was a
Mm-hmm.
lady that they assaulted her son outside of the parking lot. So there's another woman whose 17-year-old child got assaulted in the parking lot, and somehow she ran over to my building and she got a little too close to one of the police officers. And I was like, listen, we're both black women. They're gonna say we were angry black women, we instigated, and they're gonna kill us both. Like, I'm screaming at her in the process of what I was in to like, get back, don't get close to them, they hurt my kids, they just elevated me from a whole entire stairs. They are trigger happy, they will kill us dead, you know? So it, yeah.
It
So this,
goes both because you have to realize like in our society. So I mentioned that because I pay attention to like the firearm situation in our country, right? So in a lot of these places, like there used to be examples of like racism and stuff, and they're trying to backtrack and walk back on it, right? So I actually made a video on it, but in a lot of cases, like in like Toronto and stuff, there's a lot of black people being caught on violent crimes, and like when they talk about gun violence and stuff, they don't address the actual issues. So there's a lot of crimes going on, and they just let people off the hook, right? So they have a lot of people trying to smuggle stuff in the country, and they just let them off the hook, and they target law-abiding firearm owners, right? So I looked at two situations, and I think it was Ontario or something, but there's people that are committing gun crimes, and they're black people, and the justice system is just letting them go off the hook, but it's like so like when I think systemic racism, it's like how would that be systemic when they're letting these people off the hook and they're black, right? So if it was systemic racism and there's black people committing gun crimes, like would you not think that they would be not let off the hook? And the reason why they're giving black people lenient sentences is saying to combat systemic racism, right? So if you Google like
But they're not
anti
giving minority people lesser sentences. They're giving them longer times for doing the same things that not another minority would do. So even the way that they judge these people in the justice system, in the judicial justice system, is different. There's a different outcome. I just gave you a great example of Horan Hashi, God rest her soul. There was a girl that, killed her in cold blood, unalived her, and there was a video of that circulating, and this happened in a predominantly white area, Saskatchewan, you know what I mean, Regina. There's not too many ethnic people there, and due to her socioeconomic status, within like a day, her sentence went from second degree to manslaughter, then to home arrest. Like literally, house arrest. And then from there, it was like $5,000 bailout. And then in 5 months, the entire case went away. Like and in the case of this sister, we're still waiting for the autopsy. Zahra, you know what I mean? We spoke about another sister in 2006. Her name was Yasmin. God rest her soul. She was walking back from work. She was encountered by a predator. He had already committed sexual assault. He said he was sentenced to 9 years. He did his time. He gave these women HIV and AIDS, and he stalked her, pushed her into her house as she was getting in, and he violently butchered her and then left her outside in a bag, for the cleaners to find her. And then he was able to make bail. Can you believe somebody like that was able to make bail? And then it took about 5 years for him to get sentenced. So the family had to be dragged out through that for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? So in those cases, it really makes you wonder, like, okay, systemic racism does exist within, whether it's...
But do you feel I feel it's just our government does not prosecute any crime no matter what you do. Do you think it's that, or do you think black people, if they did the same thing, they would go to jail for instantly, no questions asked? Because I think you find both
They
examples of
don't, but
everybody committing crime.
statistics and statuses show us that, though. They show us that black people and minority people get higher sentences than these privileged people. Like it's a fact. It's not something that's hidden, because before that we had the racial profiling. We had to lobby to get that to stop, like the frisk and stop thing that they had going on in Toronto. Yeah. Why was that? Is that not a form of systemic racism, to predominantly target one group of people because of their race or the way that they look, or, oh, you're wearing a black hoodie type of analogy? Amina, welcome, lovely. How are you? This is one of our panelists. I see Nagnol in there. Shout out to you. I try to invite you up. I think she's a little bit busy. You guys saw the wad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam, guys. On the Salamaya WST fam. MashaAllah. And Kareem as well. And Gupta, everybody that is watching on the panel.
Kareem is we're chatting with Kareem tonight because we align in so many different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just randomly saw you talking, and I thought you talked really well, and I just tuned in, and here we are. It's very pleasant.
Yeah, we usually have a lot of people. Like we have Amin is one of our regular panelists. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can hear more of our lives. They're really long. They're like 3 hours, and a lot of craziness. Super Somali is missing. Nagnol has been up to God knows what. Kay, I think Kay is sleeping right now. Nobody expected me to come on. I was stuck in a housing meeting. We're having our neighbor's house burned down, and it was really close. Like one of our building was pretty much almost on fire, and I'm kind of like, trying to get some justice for that and just dealing with all of that. So that's why
MashaAllah, Gupta, you are doing wallahi what needs to be done in actually the community. Not only Toronto, but the whole Canadian system, right? When it comes to youth and government, federal. and community as well. But yeah, you talked about so many things, racism, like disabilities, all kind of aspects that needs to be, heard. MashaAllah.
And also, Cream, like another important thing that you asked me earlier, and I want to also say to you, I don't know if you remember our mayor, Rob Ford, right? And you remember that whole ordeal that happened, right? So another group of people that have experienced similar to what I have experienced are those mothers, because there was an entire raid done in a whole neighborhood, predominantly, something that we would consider minority, marginalized, and racialized community, right? And this was not so much based on their social status or housing. These were condos, you know what I mean? But because of the people that live there are considered immigrants or newcomers or new Canadians, they felt like to cover, the things that happened with the mayor, there was no repercussion for him. You know what I mean? He was caught in an entire scandal, but, you damaged an entire neighborhood and constructed this idea that, they're a group of gang members, but the crossfire and the collateral damage, who did it really impact? And what healing did these people receive from that trauma? You know what I'm saying? So this is something that happens like so often. Doors are being kicked in day and night, and these people are just meant to pretty much just fend for themselves, and they don't even know where to pick up the pieces. It's like, do I clean my home and try to restore that? Do I deal with my kids? Where do I go for like therapy? What do I do? You know what I mean? Do I grieve what just happened? So this was something that like a lot of is affecting so many women and children and men and families, and nobody really sheds a light on it, because it's like, great, most people come out of that situation, like you and I even said, thank God I'm not dead. Like, I thought I died, but I'm still alive. And you're just meant to say thank God. And we are grateful, but at the same time, we come out of that feeling very violated. I felt very violated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I didn't know it was that big of a problem. Not heard too much about it, but I mean, if it's just happening regularly, a lot of doors being kicked down, that's messed up, And like I mentioned, my issue of cause for concern is just the no knock part, right? Because how much trauma can that save, right? If you knock for about a minute and then nobody answers, I mean, maybe that's justified, but to just be going out here like a 80s action movie, just kicking doors down, that's messed up. Because like, especially when they know who's inside, kids inside, a mother inside, that's not right. So yeah, I had no idea about this issue, to be honest with you. Does it get news coverage at all, or like was any media on your side at all, or not really?
I think, sorry, Gupta. And I think it was all social media within Toronto Kadai, right? But
But no
those
news,
people,
like no actual news covered it?
Well, it's the mayor.
yeah,
The mayor is found
yeah.
doing illegal drugs and buying it from that neighborhood. Do you think they're gonna take any accountability, or you think they're gonna do whatever it takes to cover that up?
Yeah, no, but I'm talking more about the kick in the door aspect and the
Oh, that just
the
has
police aspect.
that they tell you that just comes with the
Wow.
territory. That's like, deal with it, But it shouldn't be that way, because I'm thinking like children get hurt, grandparents get hurt, elderly people get hurt. You're not arresting them. They have no reason to be getting hurt. Like, they're not the criminal. You know what I mean? And when you watch certain like things and you speak to different people, and they, because of where they live, or because of their status, they usually get briefings. Like, the officers might come to them and say, hey, we have this and this at hand, and we just want to let you know, and this is what's going down. At least they have a heads up, like, just before it happens. But or like you said, the knock policy, they know that they would have to do actually knock the door rather than breaking the door. So I feel like we don't receive that treatment because of where we live or what quote unquote they think our status is. That has been my experience, and not only for me, just from the people that I even engage and talk to, that has been their experience as well.
That's very sad. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, there's no need for sorry because we're gonna do something about it. That's what we have WST for. I don't
That
believe,
is the spirit.
yeah,
Sorry does not have
sorry
a
doesn't cut
chance.
it. Sorry doesn't change
Nah, I
anything,
feel I feel
It,
bad, especially for women that go through stuff, right? So it's just like an empathetic feeling, right? Like I feel so bad that women would have to go. It's just so like traumatic. Like I can't believe that, you went through
You'd be
that. So
surprised how many people were not even like were against me, labeling me just from a video. They were saying things like I must have they just felt like I deserved this almost, or I brought this upon myself, or why do you live in housing? And that was my main issue. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean, why do I? This is not an individualistic issue. A lot of the times I'm finding people, and we have great people, like, don't get me lost, like, we have amazing, incredible, like-minded people, but I think the rotten apples just overshadow those good people. You know what I mean?
oh
Like the
yeah.
negativity, that this is like just being desensitized, just being robotic kind of. Just, I don't know if the world was always like that or if I'm just seeing an increase of that because of COVID. I've been trying to rationalize what has gotten into the waters and the brains of these like certain people, and I'm just like, where do you want us to live? Where is new infrastructure being made? Is affordable housing being created? You have people who've worked 2 decades, more than 3 decades, just to get their house for foreclosure, just to be taken away. You have seniors on a fixed income, meaning their pension plan is a fixed income. So if there's a rent increase, they're most likely not gonna make it. You know what I mean? You have students, like once upon a time, when I moved here, I lost my condo because how can I afford a condo? Well, I have 2 mouths to feed and I'm just a full-time student, right? So I had to downgrade. So now, why would I just leave this neighborhood when I can, in return, fight, get meetings, make contact on TikTok and other platforms, speak about it, and make some noise around it, or what? So that was my whole thing. You know what I mean? It's just like a lot of people think like people that live in housing, they don't understand basketball players come out of housing, doctors come out of housing, lawyers come out of housing, mayors and MPs and councilmen come out of housing, police officers come out of housing. It's not a place where you can say it's just one demographic group of people live there. You know what I mean? And a lot of people fail to understand that it's called rent geared to income. So it depends on how much you make. So however much your job pays you. And then that's called also, like market rent. So what is this infrastructure worth at market rent? So you could be living in housing paying market rent. So this area would be like 1850. So if you lived somewhere else, you might end up paying $3,000, but $1,850 and $3,000 is still quite high for a 2-3 bedroom, if you ask me. You know what I mean? So it's like, who are you really talking to about this situation? You know what I'm saying? Are you guys
Yeah.
experiencing that?
Yeah, 100%. So that's what I say. Because in the area that I work in, I feel like they focus so much just on like homeless people and like drug addicted people, but the everyday person needs attention too, right? So in Vancouver, like it used to be like, I don't know, 1,200 they're 1,500 for like a 2 bedroom. Now it's like 2,300 like in the last 3 years, right? So people that are saying that kind of ignorant stuff, I'm pretty sure they're aware of what's going on and they feel it too, especially in bigger neighborhoods. So we need to focus more not just on like the homeless, but middle class as well. And I know what you're talking about, those income adjusted housing, and we need a lot more of that, especially in big cities, Vancouver, Toronto, places like Alberta and Edmonton. I think it's not as bad, and
because
like Manitoba, Saskatchewan.
their
What's that?
infrastructure, like they don't come from a in dense populated communities. They have a lot of land. They don't have like Toronto and BC. It's very like populated. You know what I mean? And
Vancouver's the worst, like worse
big
than like North
cities.
America. It's like
Yeah,
so expensive
Yeah,
here, and like
Toronto, it's like overpopulated. Trust me.
it's a small New York at
In
this
New
point.
York, yeah, they're in competition actually. New York and Toronto, and
mm,
BC. Yeah, so it's the market rent, especially downtown Toronto. It's so high, and they made a deal like rent to own. wax la yiraahdo. And I don't know if Somali community knows that, but there are a lot of people or youth under the age of 40 that are working, but still within 5-10 years, 300K, 2 bedroom downtown Toronto, right? But at the same time, we had a lot over the years revitalization, downtown. So there's no condos that were built the last 2013 because I moved in 2013. It's beautiful. The condo, they have all necessity, like central AC. You can actually control it by remote. So I think some of the communities that Gupta, WST, are fighting, even us, me too, and the other two girls, mashallah, it's the same necessity to have that, as well as the kids, children, and schools, community. Yeah. Oh, mashallah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think they're making the problem. Like, I mean, there's like the thing is, there's also so much immigration, right? So there's gonna be a
Oh my
lot more
God.
housing needed. So they gotta
Yes.
start tackling this because what are they thinking? There's so much immigration. People that are here already can't afford housing, and how are the immigrants gonna afford housing? It's gonna be so much competition. It's gonna increase the price up. They just increase the interest rate, so people even that are owning or paying a mortgage, they're gonna feel the pain. Like the country as a whole is gonna feel the pain, and it's just not sure if it's gonna get addressed before it gets horrible or it's gonna be horrible and then they're gonna try and address it, but it takes time to build housing, get stuff planned. So people need to really raise their alarm
Yeah.
and start making a fuss about it because it's kind of getting swept under the rug in a way.
Yeah, and there are actually a lot of infrastructure. I don't know, Gupta, if you know, or Kareem. I think Kareem is in BC, right? So
Yeah.
infrastructure, I don't know, BC, are they building new condos?
They are.
Every
So the thing about BC is what they would do is they
yeah,
would build a bunch of apartments and stuff, and then
yeah,
foreign buyers would just come buy it, not even live here. And then once it's finished, they would just,
yes,
increase the rent price by so much, and
and
then
rent
it's
it
just
out to
screwing Canadians
students,
over.
right? And they go to
Students, yeah, anyone, yeah.
cottages. Yeah, they own like cottages or whatever during the
So yeah, so
weekends, getaway.
So,
Yeah,
so
they do
even though they're building, it's like not really helping anybody because that's what was going on. So I think they kind of put a limit on that. They kind of said if you don't live here, you might not necessarily be able to buy. But even if like the average person is not affording a new apartment anywhere. So like this Greater Vancouver, so Vancouver is like the heart of everything. That's where it's really expensive. And then
Yeah.
you drive out 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. And if you ever wanted to own, that's where your opportunity would be. But when you drive 50 minutes out of Vancouver, like now those are getting so expensive that even that's out of the question. So that used to be your only hope, but now it's not even an option anymore. So me, like I'm 30 years old and like it's gonna be so hard for me to ever own a place. I don't even know how it's gonna work out. So it's kind of like it's very tough and it kind of gives
25
you like a
years, Kareem. They're saying 25 years for you to own a place. That's how long it would take for you to even save up.
Yeah.
And
wow.
that's ridiculous. Like we have to deal with debt, and then as new graduates or graduates, then we have to deal with
Foreclosures.
the whole job seeking thing, the competition that comes with that, and the lack thereof. And then it's like it's just driving people over the edge. And, to be told like things like be grateful, no, because a lot of these, a lot of these infrastructures, like a lot of these neighborhoods and communities that are housing are very unkept, you know what I mean? And especially since COVID. And if we don't speak up and if we don't ask for like what Amina was mentioning, like a revitalization plan, this community at the East Mall Flats has been asking for a revitalization plan for 5 years, and it's yet to even be heard, and you need to be able to find investors, right? You have to find somebody that's in business willing to even take on this project, and not only take on this project, but take it on with another corporation called TCHC. So all the things need to be able to line up, right? So we are not in a position right now to pick up and leave and start over, because like you said, there is nowhere for us to start over. There is no infrastructures. Like, there's more immigrants coming in than more homes being built, right? So you have more people coming in and nothing is being built. That's why Justin Trudeau has bought out hotels. Like, he's literally contracted hotels to have these people fly in, like immigrant and refugee families. When I was in a shelter, I was in an immigrant shelter and refugee, and at one point they tried to turn me away because they said, "Oh no, this is not for you. You're not a newcomer. You're not." And I was looking at them like, "You're telling me as a Canadian citizen I don't need help? Like, how ridiculous is that? You know what I mean? Like, I need help just as much as
Gupta, that you mentioned newcomers. You remember the last 3 years ago, Trudeau, he let a lot of newcomers. Was it from Syria?
Something million people,
Oh,
but yet he did not even
Yeah,
build
it was Syria.
He did
Syrian,
not even
yeah.
build one
Yeah.
apartment complex.
There you go.
He contracted out, like, meaning he contracted out from like Toronto hotels all over to host these families. And I went there. I said, I can't afford. I'm getting evicted from my condo. Rent just keeps going up. Like, I'm in my last year of uni. Like, I can't do this. I'm stressed out. You guys need to give me a place. I need to stay closer to my
shelters. The shelters were full
like this, and they try to like shoo me away. And it's like, what's happening is you're gonna have this war. Now you're gonna have this war, and we're already seeing it play out, and we're seeing the violence getting more redundant and ridiculous and out of control in our cities, and especially in our inner cities. And what's gonna happen is gonna be a pushback. Now the immigrants are gonna feel like they got tricked into this, and the citizens that were already here are gonna feel like, man, we're not even getting the help. Like, we need help too. We've put 30 years of our taxes into this country, 40 years, 50 years of, working our butts off, and we're being put down and we're not receiving, and waiting, even for a waiting list for housing is like 20 plus years. You know what I mean? So you're not even guaranteed to get one. And that whole stigma that is attached to it too is just disgusting, really. So that's pretty much like what the meeting was about today. I decided that rather than giving up on my community, I was going to stand up for my community, and I was going to really put the pen to the paper, meaning like, I'm stepping on some necks. Like, at the end of the day, this is where I wake up. This is where my kids wake up. You have the leverage and the luxury of going to your condos. You have the luxury of going to whatever it is. You know what I mean? Your cottages. You live in your half a mansion. You get money on the backs of vulnerable people. And it shouldn't take 5-6 years for us to even have a discussion. Like, just a discussion around, or a plan, just to draw up a plan as to how we can all collectively just meet each other. There shouldn't be a conversation this long. That's what I believe.
For me,
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, you wanna go?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Do you guys think, like, because it happens all the time with refugees, right? Syria, all these things, and now Ukraine, and he just like brings a bunch of people here. Like I think like because I honestly cannot figure out who votes for that guy. Do you guys know anybody that votes for Justin Trudeau? So I think part of it's like a ploy to just get him voters because literally the entire country hates him, and I can't figure it out. It's like why do you keep your country's in turmoil, everybody hates you, all this chaos is going on, yet he just keeps ignoring his people and just keeps bringing in like just Syria, and now it's Ukraine. Like a bunch of Ukrainians are coming here, sends them billions of dollars, and it's like I don't understand what his plan is. So part of me thinks the reason why that happens is just to get voters. But like you said, once they get here, they realize what's up, and then do they vote for him? Like I kind of try to figure that part out, but I'm not too sure.
Honestly, I just think he's in competition with America because I don't even feel like this is Canada. I call this small America because he was really pushing for guns to be normal here. Like,
Trudeau?
yeah,
No, he's not. What do you mean?
that's literally, I think, don't be surprised if you see Trudeau pushing for that. I feel like
He's trying to take him away right now. He's passing legislation. He just banned handguns about a year. So like I said, I have a firearms license, like I'm very well versed on the topic. But no,
yeah.
he's trying to take him away. He banned handguns. He's trying to pass bills and buybacks. He did the OISC, which banned a bunch of hunting rifles and stuff. No, he's definitely not doing that. I'll tell you that as a fact. He's definitely not doing that.
I think the Liberal
I don't think like I'm just saying just watch him. He's gonna be coming more like that. Like Canada is gonna become more Americanized day and day and day. Because even now we don't have stand your ground rules. So what's the point of me having a gun if I cannot use that gun to defend myself? Like you have people that are arrested here in Canada who they've been home invasions. People have broken into their homes. People have done things against them. And when you defend your house and you defend your family, you are the one going to prison. So how does that make sense?
So why would you want people to have guns?
People are gonna push to have guns because people are not
Oh
gonna.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People are not just gonna sit around and let this go over their heads. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna push because it doesn't make any sense to anybody. Like if somebody walked into my house as I'm talking to you right now, what was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do? Defend myself. I'm not out there harming anybody. I didn't leave my house to harm anybody. But how crazy is it that I'm going to be going to prison? Like I'm legitimately going to be going to prison and for defending myself. So that's the thing that I mean. Like I think Canadians are going to become more Americanized because at one point there's going to be a pushback. You know what I mean?
Canadians will definitely become more American. I don't think Trudeau wants Trudeau is just like, wants control over people and stuff, but no, Canadians are getting pissed off. I mean, we're seeing it every single day, so definitely.
I think the government is just trying to take full authority over people. Like I don't even think at this point we have like constitutional law. Like we don't. I don't feel like we have rights. Like for a whole prime minister to tell you can't use TikTok, you must have a COVID shot or you're gonna be arrested. He did all of those things to like the truck drivers when COVID was happening in Ottawa. You remember it was just disgusting. Like freezing their money. Like, can you imagine freezing people's money, going into their accounts, taking their homes? Like, is this a third world country? Like, are we even a democratic country anymore? So, I think that's why you see so many people not for him because so many people were for him at the beginning. And it's like you said, once he came into power and got all the votes, he just switched up. He became a different prime minister, you know what I mean? And it's looking more of a dictatorship, if you ask me.
It's 100% a dictatorship. And what made me realize that is COVID, right? And also the protest with the teachers at one point, because we don't have any rights in our chart. Anything can be overridden in our Charter of Rights, right? So when it came to when it came to the COVID, there was no any right was just overridden by the Emergency Protections Act, right? And then when it came to I think it was teachers in Ontario protesting or somewhere, they took away their right to protest over the notwithstanding clause or something like that. So it's like literally every right we have can just be overridden based on what the government wants, whether it's an emergency, whether it's a notwithstanding clause. And it's like, what rights do we have in this country? You know, at least in America, like they have like, you know, you can't mess around with their constitution. They have something written in stone. And that's one good aspect about America. But here we have no rights. They can just decide, oh well, I'm gonna take that away, and it's so silly in a sense. It's kind of you know.
Even in here, you have no human rights. You have no rights to defend yourselves. You know, especially immigrants or refugees or refugee, especially those ones who are visible minority who are citizen, does not have like. Their rights were violated in so many ways, wallahi, and nobody's talking about it. But at the same time, the Liberal Party, Trudeau, every 4 years is coming. It's coming. Conservative. This time, for sure.
I think we need term limits too. Like, how long is this guy going to be in power? Like, it's actually getting kind of insane.
You guys, until people start resisting and pushing back and literally have to step outside of their houses and start marching and protesting, nothing is going to get done. And people's mental health conditions are just worsening and just declining. And this country is in shambles. And I can tell this country is in shambles because numbers don't lie. We clearly see what's happening, but somehow everybody is out fighting everybody else for even speaking up on certain issues. Like, people don't even want to hear you talk about these issues anymore because it's more like, we're hopeless, we don't care, it's been like this forever, like, just live life, deal where you can, be grateful. It's like almost victimizing the victim, you know, or like, it's just weird.
It's divide and conquer, because how can people stand together if you separate them on little minute issues, right? Or serious issues, but it's just like, I think like everything's Donald Trump, like everybody chose a side and they just amplified the two sides so much, and people just started to like have hatred towards each other, and like there's no debate, there's no discussion anymore, and that's what was a big problem, was just that shift culturally, like right before COVID, right? And then now they just wedge issues on so many topics, you know, whether it's your race, whether it's your sexuality, whether it's this, and they just keep us hating each other, and we'll never be able to stand to the government. So that's one of the sad things about the state, but that's their plan, just divide and conquer. So. And that's why they're scared of TikTok too. Like TikTok, a lot of people can just come here, you know, voice their opinions. It's not like as censored as like Facebook and Instagram. And that's what I realized, because I avoided this app for so long, because I thought it was just like, you know, a Chinese communist controlled, like, you know, weird platform. But like once I got here, I'm like, wow, people can actually voice their opinion. There's a lot of sense of a community, and like it's very, you know, a big threat to them. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is.
I think half of these people that respond like in comments or like under posts and videos, I think it's like AI or something, you know.
A lot of bots.
Yeah, because they like literally banned some of our videos. Like, we had a whole topic on like AI and chat GPT and like technology takeover. That's what we titled it, and they literally took down our video. And we had another video. Amina, what was our other video on that they took down?
I think it was a violation, privacy violation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We should
have added Bill C-11. That's Trudeau once again with his Bill C-11, you know? It's just such a communist piece of crap, dude. Like, it's the smugness that gets it from me, though. The thing about Trudeau is his smugness. Like, nobody has a right to defend themselves. He has a freaking full security team around him. It's like, you smug, like, you know, I don't like words like white privilege and stuff like that, but he's just the definition of white privilege. Daddy was a prime minister, you know, like, it's such a smug SOE, dude.
Blackface.
I call it out loud. Like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm assertive, like I'm passionate, because they will try to micromanage you for even having a little bass in your voice, right? You know, I'm like, it could be discernment. Like, you cannot just see certain things and just keep quiet about it. Like, he's definitely
also, there was a lot of video surfacing. Was it 1 year or 2 years ago, about being blackfaced? I don't know where he met. Was it
Yeah, I
Halloween?
got a video on my page about that. It's one of my first ones. Yeah, he's
Oh my God.
Indian face. He's done all the faces. He's just a
Yeah,
cultural
it's quite
appropriating
weird,
this
Yeah, he's
but I,
dummy
culturally
dude.
appropriating for sure. He
yeah.
definitely is, and have no idea why he's in power. That's why I'm like, I think
That's what I'm saying. Like, if voting
he's
is
in
real and
power
your votes
because
counts,
nobody's voting, Cream. Like literally, people will attack you, and they're attacking you for having a voice. Like they will literally, why do you need to speak about this? Like they'll make it an individual thing. Are you poor? Like why are you doing this? Do you not have a job? Da da da. And it's like, excuse me. This is affecting everybody. Like literally 80% of the goddamn Canadian population. Like what planet are you on? You know what I mean? These are factual things. Like go pick up a book. Like have you ever like did a research? And it's I think the thing is I think Canadians lost hope in voting. I think they're
yeah. And
too
there's the Chinese
dedicated.
stuff going on. Like, if voting is real, I don't know who's voting for this guy. Either
I
the
don't know.
Chinese interfered, or either it's all the immigrants that came here that think that, are happy that he got him here. But like, if voting is real and voting counts, I don't know who is, man. Like, I don't see these people. So it's yeah, I mean, I've personally lost. I'm so sad to admit, but I voted for him I was like 21 years old. It was like my first time voting. I had no idea who Trudeau was. I'm like, oh, it's some young guy, whatever. Like, let's get him in there. And I feel ashamed now looking back at that, but I didn't vote since his first term. So
I think all the young people voted for him, and I think he got them with like legalizing marijuana and just
yeah,
laws.
that I was
I
young and
think
dumb. Yeah,
that exactly he had like the largest, youngest population of like just young individuals voting for him. You know what I mean? Because he just gave this sense of like liberation, right?
hmm
And it's
But then,
yeah. Go ahead.
but then that's back in the days, as time goes by, and he's focusing more about the United States politics and leadership, how it works, and legalizing the weapons, all kind of stuff that he's observing.
He's not legalizing weapon, but he's observing. Like
Yeah.
like you said, he's
You
watching
remember?
America,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be like that pretty soon. Like I
You remember
swear,
United States, was it the White House when something happened and all, was it 500 people rally and they break down the windows
that
or
was Trump
enter?
supporters. That was Trump supporters. But nobody arrested them.
That is going to
Nobody
happen here.
arrested them. Nobody did anything
Of
to them.
course.
But when
Stand
the
your
truck
ground.
drivers did the same thing in Ottawa, he
they didn't
froze
do the
their
same. They didn't do the
money.
same thing though. They didn't go to the
They
white.
did
Like
lesser. They did
yeah,
lesser.
Yeah.
It was like
They didn't
way
even
lesser.
way
serve.
yeah, it was way better.
Way
Yeah.
better, way classier. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right because those
Yeah.
were Trump supporters. But I mean, like, just the whole aspect of just getting, when I say do the same thing, meaning just making noise in general. You know what I mean? Standing up to this oppression, because that's exactly what it is. It's just oppression at its finest. And he froze their money. He took away their cars. Like,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
understand
It
how
was
crazy that is?
terrible.
He literally like fined them. He arrested, like he jailed them. I have never seen a president like, or a prime minister, we call him a prime minister here, but like ridiculous. Where is our rights? Are we even a democratic country? No. And right now, when I go outside, you know who I see? I see immigrants being attacked. I see Becky's and Karen's going off at Tim Hortons every other day. You blah, 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 blah. No, it's true. I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm like, you know what? This country is
I
going to
think
fix the
Canada,
problem.
wallahi, I think Canada deserves to have a president, not prime minister. You know what I mean? You got to have this thing, because now the queen is dead. There's a king now, and I'm sure he can sign that independent
Don't want
state.
that king.
Why not?
No,
Why
I
not?
don't personally need that king. That king is so lost in this world.
They're all so old. I don't get like
He's
just go away already.
busy. Like when a woman has you wrapped around her fingers, you're not attractive. Like you have
She
Camilla.
was fierce. She was
Like he doesn't even
fierce.
care about just the monarchy. He's so into like Camilla needs to be a queen. Get over yourself. Anyways, that was my little rap. But seriously,
Honey, I can't wait Prince William. He's and to be a king. I think William is, even Harry. but he has to
Harry
10
never.
years.
That's never gonna
Yeah,
happen, and we
yeah.
all know why he's not.
Harry's even
Racism
worse.
card.
He's whipped like crazy, Harry.
By Megan, I think
Yeah.
that's different now, boy. That's different because that's protection. She reminds him like you seen what happened with Princess Diana. Like he doesn't want to take
Yeah.
that risk, and then the backlash of her being half black. Like they said, they were making comments about their unborn child. You know what I mean? And her being a divorcee because she was technically married before, and they don't do that in the monarchy. So I don't know. You know, Harry would be better. I agree. Like I would be all for him, but we cannot definitely say he's anything like his father. He's not. You know, he's a family man. That's different. Like you would want to protect your family at any cost.
Yeah, no, the dinosaur. I remember the dinosaur being a kid. That was very sad. But do you think she was actually having an affair, or what do you think?
She wasn't having an affair. It was Charles that was having an affair. And I think at that time their relationship was over. It was just to bash her because I think the guy that she was with at the time was like Muslim, and that's a big no-no, you know?
Yeah, it was an Egyptian or something.
Yeah. So I think that was, and he was a billionaire from what I hear, and into the oil field. So he's a very successful guy as well. And they couldn't have that. Like they didn't want her to have new children. They didn't want her to taint that image of even a half sibling. You know what I mean?
They
So
just didn't like the idea of Al Fayed family, Egyptian, right? And to come into the royals family in
Yeah,
some
they're
reason
big on
because they have
bloodlines,
a
those
background.
guys.
Yeah, they
exactly.
were Muslim background. So
There
it's a
was
bias.
How could somebody cheat on you when you're out here with Camilla? Like the whole world, like she's done interviews. By then, she was fighting for her children. Like they didn't even want her to have even shared custody of the kids, right? She's been through a lot, really, you know?
I believe there are a lot.
Yeah.
Welcome, Super. There are hidden stories within the
Assalamu
royals.
alaikum wa
Alaikum
rahmatullahi wa
salam.
barakatuh.
Super, you
I
can't
like to say hello to my WTST family, and
Assalamu
I'm
alaikum.
music, we
always
can't hear
happy
you.
for what we're doing. I said I like to say hello to my WTS family and everything that you guys are doing. MashaAllah.
Thank you so much, Super. Thank you. We appreciate you. How's your day today?
I'm good. I was hunting deer today, and I was up north, and I collected some deer.
You caught one, or what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy to me.
we caught a deer, and after that, skinned it.
What caliber? What caliber do you use?
Oh, we use an arrow. We use a crossbow.
What?
Yeah.
How far away you
Super,
shot
there's
it?
deer in Toronto? I didn't even know that.
Super.
Toronto?
You have to go out
We
there.
didn't do it
I
in
can't
Toronto
do that,
though.
though. I hate blood.
No, we went up north to Algonquin.
Oh, I love Algonquin
Oh,
Park.
Algonquin.
That
Native
place is
to
so beautiful. So beautiful.
Wait,
Thank you, 12. Amazing content. Bomba clat.
How far away was the deer?
The deer was about, I would say, a quarter kilometer.
What? And you used a bow and arrow?
Yeah, crossbow.
Learn this
Crossbow's
skill. Are you
easier.
lying to us?
That is some skill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Place. I love their cottages there.
Listen, you want to see something? Hold on.
Show us. Turn on your camera. You still have some deer meat at your house? You guys, I ate moose one time. It was not my thing. Let's see the deer. Oh, you're gonna gross me out. Oh Lord.
Oh my God! Wow. Is it halal?
Well, obviously, I'm sure it is.
Why is that halal?
This is so serious, wallahi.
Like this guy is so crazy. You guys have no idea.
Super is super. What can you do?
MashaAllah. May Allah bless you and your hilab over there. I can't do it.
That looks like chicken.
No, I don't. I tasted moose and I literally was like, oh my, it was so chewy, like kush. I was like, never again. You know what I mean?
Just put some
Super, how
barbecue
does it
sauce on it.
taste? How does it taste?
Technically not. They use the bow and arrow.
It
Well, it's
tastes
not
tastes like
halal.
beef.
If
It
you
tastes
don't
like beef.
slit the neck and drain the blood, it's not halal, my friend. So that's not halal meat, technically.
Oh.
Wait, what are the rules on hunting?
I have no idea. Mary Ellis said that in the comment section. Mary
No, I
Ellis.
mean, what are the rules on killing an animal? Why is that wrong? I mean, why is that not right?
Can I ask a question? If I shot the deer directly in the head and it died right away, and I said, before I shot it, I said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and I said Ashhadu and I made the thing, you know? Is that good? Is that halal?
Super, you remind me
Is that like making up
Twilight.
your own religion? I wouldn't know. I'm not an expert, but I can definitely find out for you. That's actually a good question. Like, you know, that's crazy.
He reminds you of Twilight, the movie. The vampire.
I'm not a vampire. Stop this, Amina.
You really are. So what are you gonna do with all of this meat? Like the deer is pretty big. Like what do? You put it in the freezer?
Well, I'm gonna be barbecuing the rest today and tomorrow.
Goulet said it's halal, guys. Goulet, can you explain to us how it's halal if you kill with a bow and arrow? Like you're pretty good if you can shoot with that stuff. That's skills. Well, anyway, super. So what do you have to say about the topics that we discussed tonight and just last night? Any new input, anything that you would like to add? We spoke about housing, and the video, his series, what's it called? Yeah, so we spoke about housing, and like the meeting and just an update on the fire and what happened. And then, yeah, and also what we spoke on last night.
So let me touch base and let me tell everybody that first and foremost, the Somali community needs to heal. We don't need to be first and foremost. I don't care about that shit no more. Like this is old topics, even gender wars, old topics. But what we do in WTS is we figure out how we can save our community. Now, what is going on is the girl in Windsor, our sister in Windsor that passed away, Alam Haristo, people are divided in the community, same way as the same girl that died in Alam Haristo, Saskatoon. You know what I mean? So they're divided because, a non-Somali man has ended their existence. But when it's a Somali man, they don't, like, when it's a Somali man, every Somali woman's vocal about it. But when it's a non-Somali man, we don't even see the pictures of these guys. We don't even know what they look like. The ones that took away our sisters, our beloved sisters. What I'm going to advocate for is we need to be stronger. We need to, like, take away all this BS, this gender war drama.
Screen. Like, what happened to our... Why is everybody asleep? Just because I came on a little bit later? Tap the screen. When somebody's saying something positive, tap the screen. Thank you so much. WST family sleeping tonight. I don't know what's wrong with them.
And we need to make sure that we always, like, help our own. So our sister passed away, like, before, when her mother was saying she was missing, I was looking for her. I was asking people, where is she at? But now I know that some stuff happened. What I want from the Somali community is not to be biased, not to be gender-based, and not to be gender war. We need to come together and figure out ways where we can help each other. Khalas.
Do you know she was kidnapped? Like, how was he able to get to her? Like, do you have any idea around that? Super, and thank you so much.
Me personally, I don't understand how and what are the circumstances behind it. But the only thing I do know is she is of my blood. She's my blood. She is my family. She's Somali sister, so she's my blood. That's it.
That's it.
Khalas.
I agree with you.
And I need to figure out what happened and fight. That's it.
Exactly. We can't wait for the autopsy to come out. So are we rolling out?
We rolling out. You already see me in my military dress and jihadi formula.
I'll join you in my abayas. That's what it is, you guys. So you guys, I just want to thank all of my WST family. We don't call them, we just call each other family out here because it seems like a family here. Even when we're dysfunctional, we're a family here. You know what I mean? Good and bad. And that I'm gonna conclude with that tonight. So I had a long day. I went to a meeting. Things are looking better when it comes to, I'm not obviously listening to these people. These people have no idea, majority of them, what they're talking about. I need to move out of my neighborhood when I can fix and help to fix my neighborhood, given the fact that there is nowhere for us to move since our prime minister doesn't even believe in infrastructure.
Oh.
And
Can I tell you something about our prime minister?
yes, go ahead.
Listen, we need to put my video on, actually, so people can see me.
Yeah, put on your video. I like when we see your face. You're much calmer. From now on, I have to request to talk to you like this,
Right.
because
Honestly,
sometimes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We need, honestly,
You
Gupta.
can't see your eyes though.
Are you stoned or your eyes are just like that?
Go back on your shades so I can
No,
say you
naturally,
look much.
Karim, naturally my eyes are chinky, but she makes me, Gupta makes me feel kind of insecure. So I'll leave that
No,
alone.
I don't. I'm his friend. Don't let this guy lie to you, okay? Like, me and him know each other. So go ahead. Go ahead.
So anyways, Gupta, Justin
We met at
Trudeau
a rally,
can't
by
do,
the way. He
listen,
met me at the Horan Hashi rally, just to let you guys know. Go ahead.
Justin Trudeau can't do anything for you because he's not your member of parliament.
Okay.
We got to start there. You have to understand where the Canadian political system is. It's not like the American system or the British system. So we have to understand where our power comes from, how we can derive it, and how we can wield it and use it and reign it, right? So you're talking about housing, correct?
Correct. Well, we spoke about housing today. Yeah.
Hold on, Gupta. You're talking about housing, correct?
Correct.
The member of parliament who's the Ministry of Housing is a Somali man. His name is Ahmed Hussein. Why don't you talk to him?
We will be.
Why Justin Trudeau? He is the actual
I
person
didn't
we're
speak
supposed to
to
talk
Justin
to.
Trudeau. I spoke to Jack Sharmer, who is the CEO of Toronto Housing.
No. This member of parliament
TPHC.
also, he's from Toronto. He's not from Quebec like Justin Trudeau. So why don't you talk to him?
We'll do that. We're definitely gonna take
Ahmed
that advice.
Hussein. That's where we can begin with, right?
Okay.
York. He's York Southwestern. That's his riding.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You know who else we spoke to for Etobicoke South and the what's it called? The East Mall Flats. We spoke to Stephen Holiday, right? Stephen Holiday and Yvonne Baker. That's a good start as well, right? So before you take it to the higher ups, it's better that you talk to the people within the community to kind of just not overstep that and give them that option of responding. So we've already got that covered. But I'm new to the neighborhood. I just joined
We have to. My whole thing, Gupta, is we have to target the biggest community in the Somali community, which is York Southwestern and the Dixon area. Yeah. So when we look at Western Road, Chitru Way, Clinton, Scarlett, all the way down to Kipling, Islington, Rexdale, up over there. If you target that area, and this is our member of parliament who's a Somali guy who's talking about housing, can we start from there?
Absolutely, we can.
That's all I'm
That's
saying.
Perfect solution. I love that because here in WST, you guys, you already know like we challenge the problem, we attack the problem and not each other. We always say that. Let's look for solutions instead of fighting. Let's put our minds together and come up with solutions. That's amazing, my friend. I'm gonna clap for you. Enough roses. I always like to give out roses just because I believe in giving my people their roses while they're still here. And
Let me eat my deer meat while I'm listening to you guys.
what do you say about Kareem talked about guns, like the right to carry and stand your ground law? Like, what do you think about that for Canadians?
Hold on, let me put my camera back on.
Exactly. I knew you were gonna put your camera back on for this. Go ahead, go off.
I'm eating my deer meat, but you guys are bothering me, bro.
I don't like deer. I have never ate deer meat. I wouldn't even know what it tastes like. I'd probably get sick. You know how you get sick like anytime you eat something for the first time?
Meat. It's a red meat, just like beef.
That's why you're like that. I don't eat meat like that.
What do you eat?
My skin glows. I eat fish. I eat seafood. That's the closest.
Ew. It's not the same.
Seafood too. I like fish. I catch fish. I go fishing, by the way.
As long as it's not raw. You guys don't eat raw fish, do you?
Mary Ella, we ate deer meat in Somalia.
Bro, we cook everything.
What was our daddy feeding us out there?
Good.
No, it wasn't deer meat. It was gel meat. Yache, stop this. Yo, my sister's out here talking about we ate deer meat. That was camel meat, girl. Camel meat is slamming still. I'm down with the camels. I didn't mind eating the camel meat when I was in Somalia.
What was the question?
That sounds gross.
Are you kidding me, Kareem? You've never eaten camel? First of all,
that's haram, guys. Camel's haram.
It cures cancer. Okay.
Okay, can you guys guess what I have my side was?
Huh?
My side.
What is your side?
Rotini.
Rotini. Did you make all this food yourself?
Oh, bro, I'm getting hungry, man.
I know, stop doing this to us. Anyways, the question was, what was the question, Raheem? Do you remember? Even though
Kareem?
Raheem? Yeah, Kareem. What was the question?
About gun rights in Canada and how Trudeau is trying to take away and ban everything. He already banned handguns, and we should have the right to own firearms.
Gupta, what I would say is, I think we should all have the right to bear arms. I think, listen, as a woman or any woman in the chat, I think my daughter would be safer in the society if she had the right to be trained properly and to have a firearm. You get what I'm saying? And we should have mental health checks for anybody that, like, Canadian regulations already for firearms are so crazy. But what I'm saying is I would be feeling much safer if my mom, my sister, my daughter, my wife had a firearm. My own personal take.
Said God made man, firearms made man equal.
Listen, back in the day, Somali men used to have swords and daggers, and Somali women even had swords and daggers too. So why stop it now?
No, but I feel like, don't you feel like the crimes are already high enough? Like, can you imagine what this city would look like with people carrying guns? People are not even allowed to carry guns right now.
They already are.
Do you think the law stops them? The law doesn't stop them from having guns.
They already are.
Toronto's crazy.
They already are, first and foremost.
Does the drug law stop people from being addicts, or?
Listen, look at in the
Actually,
States.
they've done them a favor. They've pretty much legalized everything. If you can go buy 2 grams of coke, like, what are you missing out on right now? And then you have marijuana legalized, the gateway drug for that. What? Just fentanyl? Just the only thing they're on cuckoo about, and it's just fentanyl. That's what the war is on right now. Is on fentanyl, and that's because it's contaminated. That's why.
They give out fentanyl to hospitals too. It's not even like illegal. If you have like a reason, you can actually still get it.
Pharmaceutical companies and things like that. I can't even say too much about that, because they're gonna take my stuff down. They took all my videos down.
Gupta, when we look at the United States, the most, like, well, how should I say? gun-heavy gun law states have the most highest crimes, like Illinois, Chicago, like Detroit,
Yeah.
like California, Los Angeles.
Texas is good. Texas
But when
is
you look at
taking care of
Texas, listen, it's proper. You Gupta, you can go to the Walmart, and Karim go to the Walmart while you're pushing your children with a handgun on you. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Or
think I would
even
want to do that. I think a
forget
lot
even a
of
handgun,
children
forget
die
even a
from guns.
handgun, an AK-47 you can have just walking while you're pushing your cart.
I'm not a violent person like that. Me personally, I
That's not
stand for world
violence.
peace.
That's not violence.
What if you had
That's
something when
Do
the
you know
SWAT
how
team
many
came?
children die from their parents leaving their guns out? Do you know how many school
None.
shootings
Like
are happening?
none.
I don't know about that, you guys.
How many died from the parents leaving their gun out? There's like 2 instances of like somebody stealing their dad's gun, like maybe 2.
You're talking about that with white people. I've never heard of Somali
Yeah.
kids. How many people like there's like I would assume there's at least thousands of Somali gun owners in the United States of
Take care, player.
America.
Have a good night, brother.
I've never heard of one
Yeah, good night, brother.
instance.
Please, big
Listen,
supporter.
there's thousands of Somali gun owners in the United States of America, and I've never heard of one instance, not one.
And Hannah's right. We don't have open carries. It's completely different. It's so regulated. It's so hard to even get a license. Like, we have really strict laws here. So it's not. We're
What
not the
state are
same
you
culture as
from,
the States.
What state are
I'm
you
from Vancouver, Canada, bro.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's
Out west.
he's a social worker.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
You're a liberal.
What?
NDP.
How you blaspheme me like that, bro? Them fighting words, bro.
He does things
What'd you
like
call
that
me?
to get under your skin. Like he likes to tease people.
Them fighting words, man.
This guy carries super. You better watch out for yourself.
I wish I could. I wish I could carry, but no.
Don't worry.
You guys, well, we're gonna call it a night. It's getting late out here. Thank you, my WST family. It's always WST. We stand together, Foundation and Wellness. I'm your girl, Gupta Queen. You already know. And if you guys have good suggestions for our next live and topics that you guys would love to see, make sure to inbox me. And those that do inbox me, thank you guys so much. I do read your messages. And I would like to say, look up at the bio. Make sure you watch our previous live on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. As always, love and peace, you guys. Good night. Stay safe out there until next time.
Good meeting y'all. Take care.
It was so nice meeting you, and I hope you're part of our family, and I hope we keep seeing you. And I'm gonna definitely check out your page and like all your videos. And you're an awesome guy.
I'll give you a heads up though. My stuff is all about the gender war stuff. So just a heads up. But the reason I came on TikTok is because I really feel it's a huge problem in society, and what I want to do is show people that there's no logic in that way of thinking. And it really hurts me, to be honest with you. Like, I believe in Jesus Christ. And I believe that we have all these young kids and these young girls destroying their bodies with these surgeries and all these things because they're being sold a lie. So that's the point of my page, specifically on that, and also Canadian politics. But I feel like there's so many lies being told, and that's just my goal, to expose these lies and show people that you don't need to do this to your body, and that it's really going to destroy your lifestyle, and there are massive consequences. So that's what my page focuses on. So you guys touched on it, so I'm just giving you a heads up. But that's my purpose. Like, I don't care about social media. I don't care about any of this stuff, but it truly hurts my heart to see where society is going, and that's where I took it from there. But yeah, just letting you guys know a bit about myself. But no, it's pleasant to see you guys here. Pleasant surprise, and I'll be seeing you guys in the future.
Guess what? That makes you a WST family. Everything you just stated makes you a WST family, because technically that's what we stand for. We stand for telling the truth, and we stand with our people when it comes to telling the truth in our circumstances. And you're doing God's work, because you don't want people, dying out here. That's God's work. Like, you're telling women and men, like, I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear it from you. Can we move past this? So that is a WST family. You're locked in like this with us. So thank you so much. And
I'll be seeing you guys again. You guys be safe, all right?
All right. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Super. Good night. We're gonna see each other. Don't worry. We're gonna be out there shooting deers together.
All right.
All right.
No.